to the Buy Box Bandits podcast.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Buy Box Bandits podcast. Today, we have another special guest, OA Deals, also known as David, who, as of a month ago, has done $2 million in revenue year to date on Amazon, which is amazing. We're going to hear about the big Q4 he's having, getting started with Amazon, scaling it to multi-million dollars a year, and just Amazon in general, wholesale and online arbitrage specifically. So, David, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. David also mentioned he's a listener of the Buy Box Bandits, of which we are very thankful for all our Buy Box Bandit listeners. So once again, thank you to all you guys out there. But David, take us back to the beginning. How'd you get started with Amazon and eventually bring it to what you do today?
Yeah, so I got started in 2016. So just a little background about me. I'm originally from Massachusetts. And I graduated college in 2016, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do after college. So I ended up doing the Disney college program. So I don't know if you're too familiar with what that is.
I kind of am. Yeah, I know one.
I feel like I've heard of it, but I couldn't tell you. Give us the lowdown. Give us the lowdown.
So basically, you move into Disney World. They have like housing for the college program, and you basically work for Disney for 6 months. So they have different positions, but I ended up doing quick service food and beverage, which is just a fancy way of saying fast food. So didn't really like the job at all, and really wanted something to like challenge myself. So that's basically when I, like a lot of people, just Google searched how to make money online.
Real.
Yeah.
That sounds cliche, but like you said, so many people, that's their origin story.
Yeah.
The first step of it.
Yeah. I just didn't like my job at all and was making $10 an hour. So it was like $350 a week. And so, yeah, I was looking for ways to make money online, came across selling on Amazon. At first, I actually wanted to do private label, but I didn't really have much capital. And then I discovered retail arbitrage and decided to do that first just to like build up my cash, and did it for about a month. Really didn't have much success with it. Went to like Walmart a few times, didn't find much. And eventually, I tried sourcing at the outlets, particularly the North Face outlet. And when I started, I was like gated in every big brand, but for whatever reason, the North Face was ungated for me. And I saw that they had backpacks there between like $30 and $50. And I decided to just like go for it. And I bought like 10 backpacks that I saw had a lot of reviews. And so that was like $500, which was like a ton of money at the time. Now that's like
right
nothing for me. But so I bought the backpacks, sent them in, and like within a week, they checked into FBA. And then I remember like checking my phone on my lunch break, and I saw I did like $150. Like $150 in sales. And that was like so much money for me. And all the backpacks sold in like a week. And I had like $1,000 in sales. And I was like, wow, I'm like making more with this already than I was working at Disney. So at that point, I had like 3 months left in the college program. So I just kept building it from there. And in 2017, the program ended, and I actually like applied for jobs. So I wasn't like set on going full time, but I didn't really get any traction or interviews with that. So I was like, I'll just do this for a few months and see where it goes. And I've been full time ever since. So I've been full time almost 5 years now. So that's pretty much how I got started.
Yeah. That's
so
cool,
real
definitely.
quick for all our viewers who just listened to that story. Obviously he had success with the North Face outlet. Nowadays, it's a different landscape. North Face is actually heavy into IP complaints. So anyone who's listening to that with their ears perked up,
Don't sell North Face.
we highly advise against that method. Obviously, it worked for him back then, but now is different time, and selling North Face isn't necessarily as smart of a decision, I guess you could say. All right,
It's a
continue.
bad decision. I would
Okay.
say.
Yeah.
Don't
I got a letter from them in the mail to stop selling it, which is why I share that with everyone now, because I don't care if you want to try to sell them, like do it at your own risk. But
Yeah.
I do not sell North Face anymore.
Yeah, I think I could start a bonfire with all the letters I've gotten from VS Corp. We used
Yeah.
to sell North
Yeah,
Face quite a
Vans.
bit.
Oh man, yeah. Back in the day, in
Vans,
March,
North Face.
there were these Vans that were doing so well, and the whole friend group got hit.
Also,
by VF Corp.
I realized later on that the stuff at the North Face outlet, it doesn't carry the warranty that their newer stuff does.
Oh, interesting.
So it's technically against the terms of service, because like if you sell it as new on Amazon, it's supposed to have the manufacturer warranty if there is one. So I learned that later, but I got away with it for like 2 years and never had any
Oh, wow.
problems. But
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
so,
that
yeah,
was
that was-
that's 6 years ago. That's a completely different time. All right,
Yeah.
Miles, hit it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Nike outlets in Florida are famous. Have you done any Nike outlet stuff over the years?
yeah, I got into that pretty heavily for like a couple of years, but it's just like kind of not worth my time anymore.
Oh yeah,
And-
I talk about that all the time. You can just spend so much more money on OA or
Yeah.
wholesale. Like I don't do wholesale. I know you do. You can
Yeah.
just spend so much more, and it's fun to, post the orange bag pictures and stuff. But if you're purely looking to spend as much as possible, and their rules have gotten tighter over the years, definitely. So it definitely makes sense. You kind of
Yeah, and it's also crazy like how many resellers you see when you go there.
yeah.
Well, I
And,
mean, I've heard people flying into Orlando just to hit the outlets,
There's
ship
there's
their
a
stuff
bunch there,
in.
and just up 95 in
Yep.
general. It's a
Yeah,
shame.
there's like 5 Nike outlets within like half an hour from where I live.
Yeah, which is more than almost like most states don't even. Some states don't even have multiple or even one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Miles and I, we have 2 in 2 hours.
It's 3
Yeah.
because there's one in Philadelphia, but I think it closed. I never even been there.
Uh,
But yeah,
regardless.
it's you. Do you ever go to the Vero Beach Nike outlet?
No, I've never
Oh,
really ventured outside of Orlando. It's a
Interesting. You
really
never even
good
needed
area.
to. Yeah,
for
never
shopping.
even needed to.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many stores here. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a shame. The Vero Beach outlet actually closed. It's where my grandparents live, and it.
Oh
closed.
yeah.
I literally went in May, and it was just closed. It just didn't exist anymore. It was a shame. So right now you're doing a lot of OA and wholesale.
Yeah, I actually do a lot of retail arbitrage as
Oh,
well.
I didn't know that. I didn't even say that in the introduction. I did not know that.
Yeah,
you do
most
it-
people
you do it-
think,
Oh, sorry.
sorry.
A little rusty. Got double headed tonight. Do you do it yourself or do you have other people go out for you?
So I don't do like retail arbitrage in the traditional way of like going to stores and scanning a bunch of stuff, but I have a couple stores in my area where I built up really good relationships with the management there. And basically they'll let me know like, hey, we've got a 25% off sale coming up in a month. Do you want us to order anything for you? So I'll send them a list and I'll be like, I want 1,000 of this, 500 of this,
wow.
300 of this.
That's
and
quantity we're talking.
Yeah,
Definitely,
so-
yeah.
it's retail arbitrage technically, but it's more kind of like a wholesale account.
Yeah, definitely.
And
yeah.
they let me use tax exempt and everything. And I know people that have shopped this particular store like around the country, and like they're limited in how much they can buy, but it's just like the management here, they like making money at the store, and they're just like, we're gonna let you order as much as you want. So I've done that with a couple stores, and I get like a big chunk of my inventory from that.
It's amazing.
They're like
Yeah,
small boutique stores, I'm assuming.
No, they're bigger stores, but it's just like
yeah, obviously we
kind of,
don't have to say. Yeah.
yeah.
It's just relationships
So-
are everything in business.
Yeah, I was
man.
gonna say, I
That's
know
it. Like,
someone that
relationships
prides
are
on relationships.
everything. Yeah, you go, and that's what it comes back to, like what posting on social media, making friends that are doing it. Also, obviously, like you said, making friends with managers and stuff. You got to not be afraid to talk about your business, because that brings people into your ecosystem
Mhm.
that can bring you different things, like you just said.
Yeah.
in terms of getting those relationships. So that's amazing. What categories do you mainly operate in?
We do a lot of beauty. We do a lot of grocery, clothing. For the wholesale stuff we do, it's mostly grocery. And then I really like beauty for arbitrage because everything's really light to ship. So
That makes
we
sense.
actually, we have enough stuff to do LTL shipments, but we often do UPS just because beauty products are cheap to ship anyway. And I'd rather pay like a little bit more per item and get it checked in faster. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
the same everywhere for Amazon around the country,
I've heard
but
terrible things about LTL shipments taking
Yeah.
forever to check in.
yeah, they take like up to 3 weeks for me sometimes. And UPS usually gets in within a week. So
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I mean,
makes
it
a
also
big
depends on what
difference.
carrier you get assigned to, right? Because Amazon pretty much has the final say in assigning it. Like
yeah,
we have had success with FedEx as a carrier, FedEx Freight,
yeah,
but UPS has been very, very slow. But I just want to kind of take it back to that relationship you had with those smaller stores, because that's something that's one, super interesting, but two, something that we haven't really had gotten exposure to prior to. Is that something that you strategized for and you were kind of game planning for and you were after, or is it something that kind of just fell into your lap after having the manager seeing you buying so much?
yeah. It just kind of happened naturally. Like they saw that I was going into the store a lot, and they have like their registers will only do a certain amount per transaction. And I would just be like, hey, can I get more of these? And eventually they had just seen me so many times, and you just try to like strike up a conversation. They're
Oh, yeah.
probably going to ask you like why you're buying so much, and you just be honest with them. And once they saw me coming in a lot, because it was the same employees working there, then they started to be like, okay, this guy is not scamming. He's not going to like return a bunch of stuff next week. So it's really, I think, just being consistent with going to the same stores and like getting to know the people that work there. It wasn't like I went in for the first time and said, can I buy 1,000 of
Yeah.
this? It was
But
the
I mean,
consistency of going in
you
a
hit a
lot.
key point though, because there's a lot of our viewers who have and will be asked that question, what do you do? And they'll make up a lie, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm buying it to donate, I'm buying it for this or that or the other, right? And you obviously being upfront, being honest, actually being transparent in what your motivation was, obviously you're reaping the benefit for I would assume years to come. So that's huge. And I think
Yeah.
a super good lesson for our viewers, right? And just, talking about what you do. That's kind of the essence of why we're all here.
Yeah,
Very
definitely.
true.
If you feel like you have to lie to like get away with something, like you might be able to buy from there once or something, but it's not going to be a long-term
you're-
source that you go to if you have to like lie in order to buy something.
And you're definitely not going to get that extra, that extra juice out of the relationship like you did in that.
Miles,
Yeah.
do you want to tell a
case.
story about your UPS encounter yesterday?
Oh,
2 days ago.
2 days ago.
So I don't know if you remember. So Miles was at UPS. We were talking on the phone, and
Oh,
he
yeah,
had
yeah,
said,
that was
I'll
yesterday.
let you,
Oh my,
I'll let
yeah,
you
yeah,
take
yeah.
it.
My bad.
I'll let
I'm
you take
surprised I
it.
didn't remember that. Yeah, so I walk in, give him my box prepaid, get my receipt, whatever. I see a guy, and I get back to the car. I see a guy walking with 2 labels on a box, obviously Amazon, but it's a small box. He has one with eBay tape, one with Amazon stuff. And then he walked out. I asked him, I was like, is that an FBA shipment? He was like, no. I'm like, I can see it. Like, I don't know where else. And that's a shame
Yeah.
because one, I'd love to meet people in the local area. And obviously it would sound good in a tweet being kind of cynical, saying like, oh, people are scared to talk. But that is true in some cases. But yeah, it's interesting. Talk about Amazon, guys. If you're listening to this, talk about Amazon. Don't be afraid to. You're never afraid to see what'll come out of it. And so we kind of figured out some, at least, the baseline of your arbitrage strategy. How do you go about setting up wholesale accounts?
So I mostly use Smart Scout to find new wholesale accounts.
We love Smart Scout.
It's a very cool software.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It just, before Smart Scout came out, I'd usually just like Google like distributor for XYZ
Right.
brand.
Yeah.
But Smart Scout just kind of like makes the process more fun. And I really enjoy the seller map feature on there because it's allowed me to find some local wholesale accounts. So
Oh, wholesale accounts via that. Okay. I always thought, and I've used it once or twice as like a weird way to kind of see people in your area who are selling. I didn't know you could find wholesalers through that.
well, the way that I did it is I look at what people are selling in my area.
Oh, see, this is why you guys listen to the podcast, man.
Yeah.
This is where we get that value. Okay, keep going. Sorry to interrupt.
So a lot of like, you'll see a lot of like smaller sellers that, you know, they just like FBM their product on Amazon or whatever, but it has a lot of demand. So I was able to find some products that way, and then I just reach out to the brand, and now I have a couple of really good accounts, two of my better ones, where I just go and pick up the product, and that gives me a huge advantage because I don't have to pay for shipping.
Yeah.
And even if I did
And-
pay for shipping, it would be less than
So
shipping
it'd
it
be
across
very
the country.
affordable, yeah.
And your lead time is less.
Yeah, exactly. So as soon as it's ready, I just go and pick it up.
Interesting.
That's a good little value add. Do you
Yeah.
have a preference in terms of either brand or distributor?
I mean, I think I prefer a brand, but I've had success with both. So yeah, I guess brand.
Brand,
Usually
Would
you
you
can
agree
probably
that
get a
brands
better
are harder
price.
to land? What's that?
Yeah, I think the pricing's probably a little bit better if you can get brand direct.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're just getting further up the
Mhm.
supply chain.
But one
right?
thing I
Gets
will
into the
say
source.
about distributors is I kind of learned this the hard way, is like you still, even if you're buying from a distributor, you might still want to reach out to the brand. For one, to see if you can buy from the brand directly, but also sometimes the brands or the distributor won't be clear about, hey, you can't sell this brand on Amazon. And I've bought like a bunch of a product before, and then the brand contacts me and they're like, you can't sell this. And I'm like, I'm buying it from your distributor. And they're like, oh, they should have told you you can't sell it on Amazon. So just something to keep in mind, because I like placing test orders now or trying to
exactly. I
get
was
in
just gonna make
contact
that
with the
point.
brand.
Yep.
Yep, that's a major key in terms of why we always preach about placing test orders to
Yeah.
avoid things like that.
Yep. And so do you have basic sourcing criteria for wholesale, or do you kind of just, like, you've been doing this for a while, you know, you can look at a keep a chart better than a lot of people can, or do you just have set metrics you kind of go off of that you standardize it?
Yeah, it's mostly just looking at the Keepa, because there's nuance to everything,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
the main thing I look for is, can I make $100 a month with a product? If
That's
it's less
interesting.
than that, then I try to avoid it because
You
I
need
don't want to
get
have
your
to
money
manage
back.
too many ASINs.
And if something's not moving, who cares if the profit's high? If you ever needed your money out quick,
Yeah.
big issues there. So I'm definitely a volume over margin guy
Yeah.
as well.
Like
I
some
When
people
you're-
will,
agree with that.
some people will say like, oh, I won't sell it if it doesn't have $2 profit, but I have like a product right now that's small and light, and I make like 50 cents profit on it, but it
But you're moving.
like on Cyber Monday, I sold like over 100 units. So that's like $50 a day over a month. Like that's going to be like, I don't know what that is.
1,500.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
1,500 a
Yeah,
month.
good money either way.
Yeah, which is,
Definitely.
I mean, that's a really good product for me, 1,500 a month profit. So
Yeah. When you're looking at your keepers, are you leveraging 6 months historical, a year historical, 3 months? What sort of data are you intaking?
I'll usually look at the 90-day view, and then unless it's like a seasonal product, some stuff does like way better around this time of year,
Yeah.
or if it's
Yeah.
candy for Halloween, stuff like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you do any seasonal? Like, are you doing any toys right now?
I've done toys in prior years, but I've kind of stayed away from it this year just because most of the toys I've bought are from Target, Walmart, and just a lot of experience with stuff tanking in prior years. And they're like bulky and annoying to ship. So
that
I kind of
makes
factor
sense.
that in as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Do you
seasonal
mind-
stuff.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Oh, for seasonal, I'll do like some meltable stuff. So I guess that's kind of seasonal, but
Yeah.
Do you
that's
like doing
really
Halloween
it.
candy?
I've done it before, but not particularly. No, I was just kind of making
Yeah.
the point about
Right,
looking
right,
back
right.
a year.
Yep. And so in terms of like scaling, let's say to like 5 million a year, is the main bottleneck capital or products to buy?
That's a good question.
Yeah. Right
Or
now,
do you even want to? You know what I mean? Like I also just thinking about your views for the future. Do you want to keep scaling? Or I know you do Airbnb as well, I think,
yeah.
right? Do you want to focus on that, or just curious? Kind of a very complicated question there.
Yeah. So the last like couple years, I've kind of been more focused on like diversifying my businesses. So I have the leads list that I do for
Yeah.
online arbitrage. And that has around 80 clients right now.
That's
So
awesome. That's very
I
good.
focused a lot on like building up my VA team and systems for that last year. And then, like you said, I also have the Airbnb. So I haven't put a ton of time into like growing my top line sales for Amazon. But I definitely want to in the future, because I think out of all the things that I'm doing, I still make by far the most money selling on Amazon. And I think it's still like the best opportunity out of the things that I'm doing. So yeah, I think for this year, it was more finding enough products to buy. It was more of a bottleneck than capital.
Interesting. I'm the exact opposite, which for what I guess I might say something or what it might not at all. It's interesting to think about. And I know you actually kind of talk about the Airbnb a little bit. Is it a house hack or is it a separate property that you own for that?
It's a separate property.
Gotcha,
So
sweet.
it's like a 5-bedroom house in Orlando, and I have like themed rooms and stuff like that.
Oh,
that's
I
super
think I
cool.
might have even looked because you posted. I might have even looked into it. Like,
Yeah.
I thought Miles was about to say he stayed there before.
Oh, that is absolutely not the case. Orlando
Yeah, on
is a
my
nice area though.
on my Instagram page, if you go to my link tree, it's like the bottom link is my Airbnb.
Oh, you even okay, that's cool. Yeah, I knew
That's
I
super
looked
cool.
for whatever reason. I thought I had looked into it pretty closely. Very good. And so kind of shifting, we learned a lot about what you have going on right now. If you could go back, and this is actually a question we got on Instagram, and start over, what would you do differently?
I think I would just try to be focused more on the arbitrage side of things. In my first couple of years, like I had said, I had got started to do private label, and like I know private label is great for some people, but for me, like I just love flipping stuff. And if you're drawn more towards private label, then you should focus your time on that. But I feel like in my first couple of years, I didn't have all my focus on like the stuff that I'm good at. So just like figuring out what you're good at is really important. And then like doubling down on that more so than
Yeah.
just chasing every
Absolutely.
opportunity there is.
Yeah. And
Well
I
said, well
really
said.
see that consistency from you in the way you said you don't chase seasonal stuff. You don't do toys in December. That's very good. And that makes sense why you've been able to see consistent, results over the years here. And it's very interesting. You've never never really had a real job like the Disney one, I guess.
know, I really haven't.
Yeah, they're never anything corporate, which is interesting. Another question we got through the Buy Box Bandits. That's at Buy Box Bandits. If you're not already following me, go do it. Which software do you recommend? Your top 3?
That's
I'd
a
say
good
Smart
question.
Scout
Or
probably has to
you
be up
probably
there,
use
yeah.
like 4 or 5. Let's hear the whole tech stack.
Wait, you want to
The
know
tech
every
stack.
single one that I use?
Yeah, that's bro. People, that sounds good, doesn't it? Tech stack.
Yikes.
People. That's one. It's exactly what it is. But
All
yeah,
right.
let's hear what you're using. You guys, that
Well,
sounds cool.
absolutely. Number one is Keepa.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Then
Didn't even
it
say
gets dicey after that. I think for me, Inventory Lab is like essential.
Essential. Yep.
Then probably I really like AZ Insight. I don't know if you guys use that.
Interesting. I don't think I've heard of it. What is it?
It's the same thing as RevSeller.
A
Just a
flyover,
product.
Oh,
right?
so mainly for wholesale, I would assume.
Just for any product, it's
Oh,
like
really?
just
Okay.
a product page calculator. It just makes things way quicker for sourcing. So for manual arbitrage sourcing, it's a must-have for me.
Oh, it's one of those Chrome plugins that shows
Yeah.
like the calculator and stuff. All right, yeah, I ought to get
Yeah,
that.
AZ Insight
things
or
sound easier.
RevSeller, they're basically the same thing.
Gotcha.
And then tactical arbitrage.
Oh, so I was gonna ask, yeah, are you a TA guy? And sounds like you are.
Yeah, I've been using TA for like a few years now, but I actually like don't use it at all. My virtual assistants do all the work with it.
Smart man.
But
Yeah.
because I have the online arbitrage leads list, I try to make sure we have like all the best tools possible at our disposal to find
Right.
the most and best leads.
That's what's up. And what repricer are you using?
Be cool.
All right, Team Be Cool. Garrett
Yeah.
switched over to Aura. Have you? Oh, you tried out Seller Snap as well. You had a really good breakdown of that. They really showed you have your stuff together a lot better than me. That breakdown you did.
Yeah, I
breakdown
tested
with
out
Seller Snap.
Seller Snap, but in the data that I collected, I thought Be Cool did a slightly better job, but
Mhm.
I
It's
don't.
way more
I mean,
affordable too.
it's really hard to compare them because
Mhm.
things are going to change. Like I had Seller Snap on for 2 weeks, then I had Be Cool, the AI version, and like 1 2 week period's not going to be the same as the next. So it's all kind of subjective, but
I mean,
I
we've
think
thought
it's a
about
much better value.
Yeah, I mean, we've thought about Seller Snap, but it's hard for me to justify an extra $400 of value that
Yeah.
Seller Snap would provide over BQL or whatever. I mean,
Mhm.
that's just our perspective. I don't know
Yeah.
if Miles, you've looked into it either.
I haven't. No, I haven't at all. Another question that we got in from our Instagram story. How did you start OA and wholesale, as well as tips for adding OA and wholesale to an already existing Amazon business? This could be a loaded answer here with a lot of value here. So that's a very wide open question there.
Well, OA is basically the same thing as RA, just
Yeah,
online.
Way
Yeah.
easier, way more
Mhm.
fun.
Yeah.
You can do it from home.
The big challenge with OA is you can't hold the product before you get it. And we run into a lot of problems with, let's say Target.com will have one thing pictured, then they send you something slightly different.
Mm, yeah.
But I don't want to risk my account metrics to send in something that doesn't match the Amazon listing.
Yep, and the picture price specifically.
Or there, there's tons of duplicate listings. So a lot of times the UPC doesn't match, and a lot of times stuff arrives broken. So that is a big challenge with OA that I think a lot of people don't consider. But
Mhm.
it's basically the same thing as RA. So if you're doing RA, I would say just go for it and try placing orders and just start small, start
Yep,
wide,
exactly.
going
You can
wide rather than deep.
totally do test orders for OA as well. I do for
Yeah.
for pretty much everything. A question we kind of already answered, but in terms of how fast or slow is Amazon with receiving the shipped inventory? Garrett and I tend to send to the same warehouse because we live close to each other, but we're curious for someone like you who is sending in heavy volume, how have your check-in times been lately?
It's not as good as it was like a couple years ago.
Mhm.
But like I said,
2 years ago, so I briefly sold in 20, like for the fall 20, and it was insane how quick stuff checked in.
yeah. Yeah, they used to have me send most of my stuff to CLT, but
That's where, so Garrett's warehouse
CL,
is in Delaware.
CLT2, right?
Yeah,
Anything that,
CLT2.
anything
Yep.
that goes from there of mine, because it's no tax, goes there. But I'm 45 minutes, or so I'm an hour from, or essentially hour 15 from the Delaware warehouse, and everything of mine goes to one in Pennsylvania. And Danny, our other co-host, he's in Miami, and a lot of his goes to CLT2 as well. But shout out to them; they've been pretty good for me. The
Yeah,
little
I
bit
think
I've
all
seen there.
the I think all the shoes that leave the warehouse go to CLT2. Everything else goes to AVP. Everything.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Hazelton, PA. Shout out to them.
Shout out
Just
Hazelton.
very
Yeah,
helpful.
I was just gonna say, when I was sending it to CLT2, it was like maybe a year or two ago, and everything checked in really fast. And then they switched me to Memphis, MEM1, I think.
That's I feel like that's weird that there's not big Florida ones your products would go to.
I know, yeah. Yeah, it is
That is
strange,
interesting.
but
Yeah, I
things
don't know why.
things take a little bit longer now. I'd say a week on average for small parcel shipments.
Mhm.
And then, like I said, LTL has been really slow. Sometimes
you-
up to 3 weeks.
Do you still do LTLs at all right now?
Yeah, I do it mostly for wholesale stuff.
Oh, you
that I
probably, it
have.
probably comes in the pallet and you have to, or it's just way easier. for
Yeah,
you
it's
to do
just so heavy. Like one company I ordered from, we shipped out like 1,200 pounds. So it's not worth it for me to get the extra speed because the shipping would have been so much
that.
to ship
That's a good point
UPS.
as well. Yeah, and so a lot of people, and kind of myself, we aren't super familiar with the small and light program on Amazon. Do you want to talk about that a little bit and how one can sign up for that?
Yeah, so if your product is, they have a few requirements for small and light. It has to be a product that sells for $7 or less.
Mhm.
And then there is a dimension and weight requirement that it has to be under. I think it's like half a pound or something. I'm not sure
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
So it probably ends up being mostly beauty stuff. I would assume little sprays and stuff like that.
For me, it's mostly grocery products
Oh, all
because
right, that too.
my beauty
yeah.
products are mostly selling way more than $7. So they
Oh,
don't
okay.
meet that requirement.
Mhm.
And then basically you can just Google FBA small and light, and then a page will come up and you just copy and paste the SKU. And then you click like enroll and it will tell you if the product is eligible or not.
Nice. Okay.
And
Yeah, so
then
it's not super
basically
easy.
it's a reduction in fees. So normally if you sell a $7 item, you'll probably make like $3 after fees. But if you enroll it, you'll make like $1 more. So it makes a big difference for items that have like a really small profit.
Yeah, sounds like Amazon's really trying to be that resource people order instead of just like in this case really small things. They want to make sure people aren't just running out to the grocery store or whatever just to get that one thing. They want to be
Yeah,
that
because
resource
it would
for
be
literally everything.
Yeah, it would be like impossible for me to sell this stuff without the small and light program because it just wouldn't be profitable.
Any OA stuff going smaller, light, or almost all wholesale for that?
Yeah, pretty much all wholesale
I
because
figured, yeah.
for OA, I'm doing, like I said, a lot of beauty and clothing.
And for small and light, because the profit per unit's a lot lower, you need volume and stuff to justify it, I would assume.
Yeah.
And way easier to get
Yeah.
volume wholesale, I would say. Definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And I heard like like a few years ago, I think the requirement was only $15 instead of $7. So the program used to be way better, but that was like before I was doing wholesale. But I wish it was still 15 because that would be amazing.
Yeah.
I
a
think they're
big
changing
reduction
it
in
again
fees.
like next year.
That would be
I
great. I
forgot.
haven't heard that.
Yeah, I saw some sort of message about it. I don't remember what it entailed. I think, yeah, I don't know. I remember that I did see a change though.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's
Um,
what's up.
so kind of
There you
switching
go.
gears a little bit. Can we talk about your VA setup? You said that
Oh,
they
yeah, we
do,
should have asked that. Definitely. Yeah.
yeah.
That's good to ask on for sure.
So you said obviously they handle your leads list and a lot of the sourcing. What
Yeah.
sort of strategy and how did you go about hiring them or hiring your first one and then scaling out your team?
Well, I have listened to your podcast, so I'm gonna say it again. Onlinejobs.ph.
Yeah.
Whenever
Yep.
you had a couple guests that said that, I was like, yep, that's what I do too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I go on there and I'll post a job. You make like a job post that people can
Right.
apply to. And I basically just say like, I don't say that it's Amazon. I just say you must be able to like follow directions clearly, because
Mhm.
I don't really care about finding people that have experience selling on Amazon, because then they're just going to do it the way that somebody else taught them.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different ways to sell on Amazon. So I'll also tell them in the job post to like put their favorite color in the description so that I know
Yep.
they read it. And that narrows it down a lot, because I
Yeah.
usually get like over 100 applicants. And then basically I'll have
What if people don't
them,
have a favorite color though?
True.
I don't know, just make one up. It's not
Okay,
about the
sorry,
color.
continue.
Yeah. And then I'll just, after I narrow that down, I'll have them like go find a product that they can buy for 50% less than what it sells for, and then put it in a spreadsheet. And basically that narrows it down more.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'll look at like how organized they are and stuff like that. And then if I just have any other questions about their profile, I'll ask them in the final round of interviews. And right now we have 7 VAs.
Nice.
So it's a pretty big team. And we do most of the training just through like Google Docs. So I'll take like screenshots and like document a whole process. And just with VAs, the big thing is like constantly providing them with feedback.
Right.
So I think a lot of people think like you get a VA and it's just like they magically do all your work for you. But if you're not like checking up on them
Yep.
and making sure that stuff is done well, then like they're not going to do the best job.
For sure.
But they do work really, really hard, and it saves me a ton of time. And I
money.
definitely would not be able to do the leads list without them. So
Do you manage them, or do you have a VA managing the team?
I have one VA that she doesn't really manage them, but I like trust her the most, and she'll do like the higher level tasks. Like she basically compiles the leads list every day and finds the best ones, but there's not really too much structure as far as like having a VA in charge of other VAs.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And what about your domestic operation? Do you have employees in the warehouse with you?
Yeah, I hired my first employee like 2 years ago, or I guess like 2.5 years ago. That was when I got the warehouse.
Yeah.
And he's really great because his schedule is like super flexible, and he'll just be like, when do you need me? So
Nice.
and
Yeah.
it's awesome because I actually gave him like a key to my warehouse, and he like shows up super early. So he's been great. And then my girlfriend actually works with me now because she quit her job like earlier this year, because she was getting sick of it, and she saw what I was doing, and she does like most of the inventory lab stuff for me
Nice.
now. And
That's
she's
very
been doing
good.
some sourcing. So I basically have 2 employees now, and then 7 VAs.
Yep. Cool.
That's pretty
And
cool.
almost all, or a good portion of our viewers, are beginners or even just looking to get started. You sell a lot of different categories. What category would you recommend for a beginner arbitrage seller?
I mean, if there's something that like maybe
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. Yep.
if you're like a sneakerhead, and I guess that's not good because you're probably gated in Nike and other big brands. but-
Anyone who wants the Nike on Gate, I'll tell you. Just shoot me a
Yeah.
message.
Yeah, it's not
Very,
that
very
hard to get
available
ungated.
now. Yeah.
So yeah, if there's something well, or maybe you're into like collectible toys or something, then I would go for that. But I would overall, I would just recommend trying a lot of different products.
Yep,
Like,
absolutely.
don't
Yep.
buy 100 of one thing, buy 5
Go
of 20
wide
things.
go wide at the start, go deep to scale. Definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good. All right. I think we'll finish up here. Thank you, definitely. I think that was definitely one of our more valuable episodes in terms of actionable information people can
Yeah.
do, which was
That
a
was
lot
awesome.
of fun. Yeah, so
Thank you.
definitely thank you, man. We appreciate. Where can everyone find you on socials?
So I just have a Instagram page for the leads list. It's at OA
Oh,
Deals.
wait, yeah, such a good name. When did you get that username?
About a year and a half ago.
Wow, I'm surprised that wasn't taken, but yeah, that's nice and clean. Yeah, seven characters.
Yeah,
Very
it's
good.
nice. And
Yep.
we post like free leads lists
I've
once a week.
downloaded some of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they fill up
Do it,
pretty
guys.
quick,
Yeah.
but if you can get one, it just kind of shows you what we have on our
Yep.
leads list or an example of something similar.
All right. Very good. So yeah, man, 2 mil year to date. Gonna keep scaling that. We really appreciate it. OA and Wholesale. So everyone go check out his stuff. Let us know what you think of the episode down below. And we really appreciate you watching or listening. Hopefully we'll have Danny back in the future. See you guys
Don't
in the
forget to
next one.
subscribe.
Yep.